So we got some brand new details about the first big patch coming to Stalker 2, but there's also a catch here, and I'm sure some of you will be disappointed by this news, but don't worry, because some of the best modders from Stalker Anomaly might be getting involved with one of the biggest features of the game. And what is going on with the faction and reputation system? Players are frustrated by this, but not for the reasons you might think. Plus, yes, we're going over your top comments once again, so be sure to leave a comment down below. So we're going to start out with the blog post from GSC Game World about the first patch that is going to be during the week to come for both PC and Xbox, so that's great news there. Now, it says the following update will include, of course, crash fixes, including issues and memory allocation failures, which previously caused the game to exit unexpectedly, particularly around rendering, skeletal meshes, and quest-related cutscenes, but also main quest progression fixes, including several bugs blocking the main quest progression, NPCs getting stuck in objects, incorrect quest markers, and issues with quest cutscenes. And all I gotta say about that one, by the way, real quick, is make sure you're saving as often as possible. Let me tell you what, that has saved me, I guess you would say, from a lot of heartache just by constantly saving before like a big mission or entering dialogue or what have you. But anyway, I highly recommend it. We also mentioned the revision of the main quests like Visions of Truth or a minor incident to ensure smooth transitions, avoiding rare cases of players not being able to proceed further, which is probably one of the worst glitches you could ever have. But gameplay and balance adjustments, including fixing the price of the weapons with upgrades installed compared to their value without attachments. Now, NPCs' behaviors, including the way they act when lacking a shelter during emissions. So now, it seems like after this patch, you're going to be getting more of what you guys really want with how NPCs are supposed to be reacting to these emissions, to these kind of like events throughout the world. This is definitely a push in the right direction and only kind of like a tease of what we can expect going forward. Now, a lot of you guys are also wondering, hey, what about A-Life? Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. It says noted to be addressed in future updates, analog sticks, dead zone bug fixes, and A-Life system bug fixes, which I know a lot of you guys wish both would be in this next major patch. So that's going to be in the foreseeable future. It's just not going to be happening in this week's patch, which is such a bummer to say, but that's just not going to be the case. It's going to be a process. And we're entering into an interesting kind of situation here where the official dev team is also having to compete with the modders. Check it out here. It says Anomaly dev says not too concerned with getting A-Life working. And if you're kind of new to the Stalker franchise and don't know what Anomaly is, it is regarded as one of the best mods made for the first Stalker. So yeah, this guy has seen success in the past, and it's definitely wise to listen to what he has to say. And we can take a closer look at what he had to say here. It says, in theory, almost every script can be ported, converted to blueprints. It just depends on how much they strip from Unreal Engine 5.1, on how difficult the system is. If we can use the blueprint system like we normally can with Unreal Engine 5, then we'll be golden. My two big concerns for modding are, number one, can we take full advantage of the blueprint system? And number two, will we be able to use prefabs as frameworks? I'm not too concerned with getting A-Life working one way or another. It will work, just depends on if it's us or them and how much effort it's going to take if it is left up to us. And what do you know, even the Gamma Mod dev team are looking into A-Life right now. So I think there's a lot of hope that we will see this working eventually. It's just going to take time, but you never know. The modders, they have this habit of beating the devs to the deadline and releasing stuff sooner because they don't have to go through a lot of the pitfalls of getting approvals from, like, you know, Microsoft or Steam. They could just release stuff on Nexus DB and call it a day. And another really cool thing that could happen is, yes, the dev team could release the update to A-Life 2.0, and then we see the modders just keep improving it through the lifespan of the game itself. So I see that also happening as well. And we got some interesting insights from the official Stalker 2 Discord about A-Life 2.0, how it's working versus how it's supposed to be working. Check it out. It says right now it throws NPCs around at you. It doesn't properly simulate how everyone in the zone is fighting for living space, migrating, capturing new safe places, or retreating to safer areas. At the moment, you can't really sense the progress in NPC actions due to different bugs damaging the system work. So can you imagine how this game is going to feel? It's just going to feel so much better once we get to A-Life 2.0 working as intended. If they can get it working 100% like advertised, I really do believe this game is going to end up being something very, very special in the next couple months, even to a year. And it's going to be very cool to see those a year later type reviews crop up for Stalker 2. You know, the dev team got called out about how they are handling the dead zone issue and the drift issues for the controller. You know, it's not coming in this new update this week, and people are frustrated. They're like, hey, don't you think that should be priority here? Here's the post. It says, this game is kind of hard to play on Xbox right now with the stick drift. I burned through ammo because my character can't hit anything with the drift. With Xbox being one of 2 platforms you release the game on, don't you think that fixing the dead zone issue should be priority number 1? Here's the response. We read the feedback and understand these fixes will also come. They are very important. The team is working. That's all I can say for now. Thank you for your patience. Really, we are working. So this is not something that is on the table that is being ignored. It is actively being worked on right now. You could be assured about that one. And there's some other key updates that are going to be happening here in the next week. Check it out. Cutscene and visual fixes, including rarely missing facial animations, misplaced NPCs, and visual inconsistencies like detached heads and cloths clipping. That's never a good thing. Quality and stability improvements of the visual effects, and a really annoying problem where players were unable to close the trade screen after putting ammo in the wrong slot while playing on gamepad. So they seem minor, but again, all of this stuff is slowly going to be stacking up, and the game's quality is going to be improving greatly as we go. And mentioning that, we got this as well. If we keep scrolling here, it says user interface improvements, including quest notifications now showed correctly during dialogues, and corrected text and missing interaction prompts. So a lot of tidbits there. And, you know, they're moving the ball in the direction of improving the game's quality. So yeah, good news overall. But there's one major feature of this game that we really haven't discussed, and it's very much kind of hidden away in the game. There's not really many tutorials about it whatsoever. Check it out. It says this: faction relations are in the game. Why are people on this subreddit saying it's not? You can see here how we have a relationship with Warlock that turns positive, but on the flip side, yes, you can actually have it go badly with the technician, for example, and you can get yourself into some situations because of that. Lots of friction that can actually happen in the world. I'm kind of wondering if you guys consider that the faction system and reputation system in the game is just far too obscure and there's just not enough feedback related to it. Because we have this, there's a lot of stuff in the game that it just doesn't tell you for whatever reason. If we scroll down here, it also says, I think it's the same thing with energy drinks and people saying all they do is fill the bar. I think they do also give you much better stamina regen for a short period after drinking. It's just not obvious, like a buff icon appearing. And the response is they do. Try regaining stamina while over encumbered. Without it and with energy drink buff, it's quite noticeable. And we got this one: the faction relations aren't clear or streamlined at all. So it seems like more of a feedback issue than a feature issue, at least from what I'm seeing so far. But perhaps the faction system itself isn't as in-depth as players want it to be. But you know what? Players were also sad that this didn't make it from the first game. It says, I was sad to find that this tab was not brought back. Being able to glance at this made such a difference to feeling part of the game world, especially when combined with the PDA messages of other people doing their own thing. I hope something similar to this tab is introduced in an update. Yeah, you know, it's so important to be able to know how you are kind of interacting and positioned in your world. That's always nice to understand for sure, especially if you're heading into like an encampment that you think is friendly, but then ends up being very much not the case. That is really, really critical feedback to have. And yes, this game does have issues, but someone brought up this point. The game is not perfect, but it is not bad as people are making it out to be. People need to calm down and take a break from the internet. I saw someone comparing this game's launch to that of Cyberpunk 2077 just now. Everyone needs to calm down. The game is not that bad. Do you think that this launch is equal to Cyberpunk 2077 in terms of how much of a disaster Cyberpunk was? I don't think so whatsoever. You know, I feel like this game, at least for me personally, is very much in a playable state compared to 2077. It's not optimized, in my opinion, whatsoever. There needs to be major optimization stuff going on here. But overall, you know, I feel like it's currently in a better state than Cyberpunk was at launch, but sound off if you guys agree with that or not. That's not to say keep rolling in the critical feedback, though. I get that. I mean, it's always good to, I guess you would call it complain, but at the same time, if there's legit issues, make sure your voice is heard, sound off to the devs, and that's how games get fixed. You know, if you're noisy about it, the devs kind of like hone in, pay attention to the noise, and be like, you know what, we need to calm this down. We're going to fix it. So that's how things get fixed, you know, give your feedback. I'm just saying I'm enjoying the game despite the issues. So guess what? I have my previous video in front of me and your top comments. So we're going to go over them right now. Remember, leave a comment down below. It can end up right here in a future video. Let's do this. All right. So we talked about nighttime, the day-night cycle, that, yeah, the daytime is too short, nighttime is too long. Let's see what you guys had to say about that. Here we go. It says darkness equals good. Long dark time, no good. Flashlight equals fine. Enemies see me with no flashlight equals bad. Exactly. That's the problem. You know, they're too attentive to you and responsive to you at nighttime when they shouldn't be, you know, on it that much since you're like in complete darkness. So that's the type of things that the dev team right now, I believe, are looking into. They did have some responses about it on the Discord. And also, yes, the length of the nighttime versus day is also being looked into, but that's all they've said. They haven't said if they're going to make adjustments yet or not. I think they're gonna be like somewhat careful about that as well. They have to be, you know. So we'll see if they roll that out eventually, but I do imagine that we will be getting some sort of day and night cycle update. I'm just hoping it comes with adjustments to the gameplay mechanics. It's not just about the actual length of the cycle itself. But someone also had an excellent idea here. Check it out. Moon phases would be cool. Some nights are brighter, some nights are darker. I actually really love this idea. But again, it's one of those things where the dev team has to be careful. If they have too many bright nights, then people will definitely complain. So they're going to have to make it like super realistic, I think, to actual moon phases. That would make a lot of sense. Next up, we have the darkness ain't a problem for me. It's the day and night cycle. I've been playing for hours and been in the night cycle like 80% of the time. It's weird because I really do like the nighttime. I'm not saying they should keep the nighttime longer, but it's kind of interesting because if I had a choice, sometimes I feel like I would try to find a resting spot no matter what and try to sleep until nighttime and try to be a stalker of the night, you know, and be super stealthy because I love the nighttime that much in the game, being able to at least try to be stealthy. There's issues with the stealth, of course, but that's the way I'm currently playing it. Let me know if you guys are the same way or if you prefer like going out during the day no matter what. All right, so next up we have when I'm creeping through a bush and the enemy can see me before I could even be aware that they exist. It's a problem. Stealth is completely broken. 500 upvotes. And this game is like a lot of its core mechanics are built on stealth. So to hear you guys reacting to it in such a way and for the game to be kind of like in that state, it does bother me, you know. So they need to like have a priority list, the dev team, as to what's on top of that priority list. And I really do think A Life 2.0 is like front and center, and then stealth mechanics, the day and night cycle, that sort of stuff. And into the light we go. But thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned here for more Stalker 2 news and updates. As always, I have you guys covered on this one, and I'll let you know when they roll out those patches. But thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time. Take care.